Your 6 steps to success can be copied by AI faster than you can tell them to me. Like, I don't need you for your 6 steps to success. The only thing that sets you apart from everybody else, the only thing that creates you as an authority in your niche is the context you wrap around your content.
Ever feel like you're creating endless content and posting everywhere, but you're still feeling like the best kept secret in your niche? Today, we are sitting down with Erik K. Johnson. Erik is a nationally recognized talent coach, on-air personality, and radio program director with a career spanning over 3 decades. Today, he's showing us how to move from being a best-kept secret to a recognized authority by transforming basic information into compelling narratives that truly build lasting relationships with listeners. Before we dive into that, did you know that we have a free community of spirit-led leaders just like you? Head over to authenticvoiceleadership.com right now and join the conversation and grab all of the exclusive resources from today's guest. I am so excited to have Erik Johnson in the studio tonight. Welcome, Erik.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. I would love for you to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. I help information experts become someone worth listening to. I help them craft their narrative and their story so they rely less on creating more content and more on just being their true, authentic self. So I started in radio back in 1989 and got my first full-time radio gig. I think it was 91. I started doing overnights from midnight to 6. I did overnights for like 3.5 years trying to figure out how to do it. I was actually getting my degree in architecture, but I fell in love with radio as I was getting my architecture degree, finished the degree and just stayed in radio. In 1995, I started programming radio stations. I started coaching on-air radio talent that were on my radio stations, teaching them how to stand in a room by themselves, talk to people they can't see, and hope they're entertaining them. And so how to share themselves, how to craft their story, how to be entertaining on a microphone by yourself. And I did that for decades. In 2009, I fell in love with podcasting. I think that was around the time I got my first iPhone and really started diving into podcasts and loved them. It was kind of like the old radio days when you could just do whatever you wanted. But man, some of the shows were rough. And I thought, man, if these hosts just knew some of the things that we used in radio, their shows could be so much more effective and entertaining and better at growing a business. And so by 2012, I couldn't take it anymore. So I started coaching podcasters along with programming radio stations. And I've been coaching podcasters ever since. I help people move from being the best kept secret to being that recognized, sought after authority in their niche without having to create more content and try and be everywhere all the time.
Well, that's so good, Erik. You went from being in school to be an architect to being a voice podcasting architect. I love that so much. It's amazing. The best kept secret to, what was that tagline again? You take us
from being the best kept secret to the recognized, sought after authority. It really comes down to authority engineering, because I have a process that takes you through 7 steps that starts with your purpose and it ends with your profit. And in between there, we go through a methodical process to really engineer authority in a step-by-step manner. A lot of people come to me and they say, oh, but I'm not funny. I'm not entertaining. I'm not, I don't have a big personality. And I didn't say you needed a big personality. I just said you needed a personality. And everybody's got a personality. We just need to refine it and bring it out from within you so that you become engaging, you become interesting. Because here's the thing. The only reason people listen to audio, whether it's the radio or a podcast or an audiobook, recorded music, whatever it is, the only reason they listen is for companionship. They don't want to do whatever it is they're doing by themselves. You don't want to drive in the car alone, so you have the radio on. You don't want to go out on a run alone, so you have your earbuds in. You don't want to sit around the house in a quiet house by yourself, so you have the radio on or you have the TV on. I'll come into the house and I'll ask my wife, "What are you watching?" And she's like, "I don't know. I just have it on for something in the background." Because people don't want to be alone. And so it isn't about creating more content. It's about creating more context. It's wrapping your content in story that makes you engaging, because everything interesting is about people.
That's so good. Companionship. And I hadn't had thought about it like that. I think of it, I want to learn something, or I want to go deeper somewhere. I never thought about the actual companionship part of the connection piece. And I think that's so true. It's so true. We long for companionship, and we're in a very isolated world right now. And so that's really providing a deeper service than we probably even realize.
Well, a lot of people think, just like you, that I listen because I want to learn. But there are so many great podcasts, books, experts out there full of knowledge that are boring as all get out. Like it is, if it were all about knowledge, our libraries would be packed. Like there would be a line outside waiting to get in, and it's just not. If you think back to high school, what were some of your favorite classes, the classes that you really enjoyed? Those were the classes that where your teachers were engaging. They were telling stories. They were making it come to life. I had a history teacher, Mr. Johnston, who taught American history, and he would tell the stories that would just make you lean in, like wondering what's going to happen next, because you didn't know, because you didn't read the textbook the night before like you were supposed to. So now he's telling the story, and you're like, what's going to happen next? Or my psychology teacher, Janie Summers, she was awesome because she would tell these great stories. But in college, I had to take architectural history, 1, 2, and 3. 3 years of it. It was painful because it was Tuesday and Thursday morning at 8:00. And we would go in, and you would think architectural history, this is going to be fascinating, right? He will tell some great stories of the Parthenon and all of these amazing buildings. We would get in the auditorium and sit down. He would turn the lights off, 8:00 in the morning on a Tuesday, by the way. He would turn on his slide projector and show a building, and then he would read his notes in monotone. This is the Parthenon. It was designed, and he would just go through and read it, and then he'd go click and turn to the next one. This is a building in Athens, and he would just read it, and you were just like fighting to stay awake. Like that's when I started drinking Pepsi at 8:00 in the morning just to stay awake in his classroom. Like I would have to stand up because it was so boring, because he would just present information. Now I love architecture. I loved getting an architecture degree. That class bored me to tears, and that's probably what drove me out of architecture. People think they want to learn, but they really just want to be entertained. They want to be there, and they want to be engaged. They want to be entertained. They want to have fun while they're doing it. And if they learn something along the way, fantastic.
Yes, and I think that entertainment factor can be so easily overlooked, but it's so important, because that is what we want. That's why we do the things we do. We go out to dinner instead of cooking at home, because we like the experience, and we like there's entertainment in that. It may not be an entertainment place, but there's new experiences to be had, and that's entertainment. That's why the entertainment industry is so effective. We need that.
And that's where a lot of experts fall down, because they feel like, I need to give more value. The only way I'm going to get more clients is provide more value, more value, more value. And in their minds, they think more value is more information. My 6 steps to success isn't enough. I need to create the 7th step. I need to create 8 more steps. I need to create a whole new path to freedom. People don't want more content. They want more context. They want more entertainment. If you're just striving to create more content, you're going to fail. You're not going to build your authority. When you work to create more context around it, you become interesting. If you think of Dave Ramsey runs the Dave Ramsey Show. He teaches people how to get out of debt with his 8 baby steps, and he's been doing it for 30 years on the radio. So a radio show, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year for 30 years. He's been doing it. And if you listen to his show, nearly every call on the show is answered the exact same way. It's with one of the 8 baby steps. But you're not listening for the 8 baby steps. You're listening for the story that led up to the baby step. You're listening for the context. How many people call because they're suffering in $100,000 in credit card debt, or their car's going to get repoed tomorrow, or they just got a notice in the mail for the foreclosure? Like, the same call happens every show, but it's a different context because the lady has a little different story, or the gentleman has a little different nuance to his story. And it's all about the context. It's not the 8 baby steps. Your 6 steps to success can be copied by AI faster than you can tell them to me. Like, I don't need you for your 6 steps to success. The only thing that sets you apart from everybody else, the only thing that creates you as an authority in your niche, is the context you wrap around your content.
I love that so much. What a great example with Dave Ramsey and what he does, and how we'll never run out of content if we do that, because we're digging deep, not wide.
Exactly. You want to go an inch wide and a mile deep rather than going a mile wide and an inch deep. Everybody digs a hole halfway down, and then they start digging another hole halfway down, and they start digging another hole halfway down, and they never get where they want to go. And they always start creating a new system or a new platform or a new methodology rather than just going deep in that one methodology and using more context and story around it to show how people have succeeded with it. When Dr. Paul Etchison runs the Dental Practice Heroes podcast, he's one of my clients. He came to me and he's like, Erik, I love doing the show. I have a blast doing it, but it's kind of plateaued and it's not doing anything to get me any clients. Can you help me out? I said, sure, Paul, let me listen to the show. And I listened to it, and he's great. So Dr. Paul has cut back his hours. He only practices dentistry like twice a month, 2 days a month. He spends the rest of his time coaching other dentists how to implement his business practices in their practice so they can work less and make more. And I listen to his show, and it's great. It teaches you all about how to do that, how to implement your business strategy. But that's it. And by the end of it, I don't know anything more about Paul. I haven't learned anything about him. His personality is not coming through. So, Paul, you're a great teacher, but I'm not listening to learn. I'm listening for you. I don't know anything about you. I don't even know how to work with you. Like, give me some of you. He's like, I was working with a podcast coach, and that podcast coach told me nobody wants to hear the chit chat. And I go, well, they don't want to hear idle chit chat, but they do want to hear your story. They want to hear your backstory, and they want to hear how you got where you are and how you did what you did. They want to live vicariously through you. They want to experience your highs and your lows without having to go through the struggles. And so let's do that. And so over the last year, we've worked together. We really changed his podcast to incorporate more of his story and his journey, because magnetic leaders don't just talk about what they do. They tell the story that make others believe it's possible. And so Paul did that in 2024. He talked about this on an episode of my podcast, so I'm not revealing anything he didn't already say. You can go listen to the podcast, the episode, and you can hear all about it. 2024, he earned about $400,000 in his coaching business. In 2025, after we worked together and we adjusted what he did, he grew that from $400,000 to $950,000 in 2025. Because we started sharing him. He started connecting authentically with his audience, and he brought them into a high-level mastermind that they paid really good money for because they wanted to be around him. Not because of what he taught. What he taught is just admission to the game. They want to be around him and who he is, and be in his circle of influence. And that's what makes you that ideal authority in your niche.
I love that you bring this up, because I just had a conversation last night in a guest community that I was in, and we were talking about you are the sum of the top 5 people that you hang around. And so we're constantly involved in just thinking about who do we want to be like? What do we want to be like? And we choose people for our inner circle who exuberate those qualities that we want. And if we don't know what their qualities are, we're not going to choose them.
Yeah, and you're not hanging around them because of their 6 steps to success. Like you're not. He's got the best formula for success. I got to be around him. No, you like him. You like being around her. She's funny. She's she's encouraging. She's motivating. When I need a shoulder to cry on, she's there for me. That's why you hang around people, not because they know so much. You hang around them because you like being around them.
Yes. And so I remember a conversation that we had, and you were talking about the difference on how much you share about your personal life in public.
Yeah.
Yes. Would you talk to us a little bit about that? Because I think that's relevant here when people are wanting to get to know you. How do you make that connection with vulnerability and authenticity, but not sharing everything?
I want you to be personal, right? I want you to share personal details about your life so people get to know you. We talk so much about know, like, and trust, right? It's building that rapport. Friendships are built through self-revelation. The more you reveal about yourself, the stronger the friendship is. If you think about your best friend, they know everything about you, not because they were there and present every step of the way, but because you told them everything. Every time something would happen, you would tell them about it. That's what builds friendships. But there's a difference between personal and private. I can tell you personal things about me. I can tell you that, I can't cook pancakes, right? I can tell you that I don't like cats. I'm a dog kind of guy. Like, that's personal information. I'm not going to tell you about my kids or where they live or where they go to school, right? I'm not going to give you my social security number. I'm not going to tell you private things about me. Sometimes you get a little too private. When my wife and I, when we had our first child, I was on the radio at the time, and so I took a couple of days off because we were having the baby. And a listener showed up at the hotel room bearing gifts. As my wife is like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "A listener of the station, not really sure." And so I kind of had to, like, "Thanks for coming. See you later." I have no idea how she found out where we were, how she even knew my wife was having a baby. I have no idea how she showed up. So you want to be careful about sharing private stuff with your audience, but you can share personal stuff. You can share, my son loves Legos. That's kind of a personal thing. Yeah, I grew up playing hockey. I love coaching high school hockey. That's a personal trait. So you can share personal things about yourself, but be careful about the private stuff that you share.
That's so good. And it gives you a window of opportunity to be vulnerable without just airing out all of your dirty laundry too. It gives you permission to choose what you want to say and how you want to say it and what you want to put out there.
Well, and the law of reciprocity kicks in. If you ever read Robert Cialdini's book, he talks about the law of reciprocity, which is it's called Influence, his book. And one of the characteristics is the law of reciprocity. If I give you something, you feel compelled to give me something in return. It's very much like thank you notes. If I give you a gift, you feel compelled to give me a thank you note, because it's that innate nature. So when you're in the grocery store on a Saturday and you're going through and they're like, "Hey, would you like to try a sample of our sausage?" And you're like, "Oh, okay, all right, I'll do it." And so you take the sausage and now you feel compelled to buy the sausage. Well, the lady just gave me sausage, so I don't even like sausage, but I'm buying a 6-pack of sausage because the lady stuck it in my face, right? That's the law of reciprocity. If I give you something, you feel compelled to give me something in return. Well, trust happens like that too. And so on your show, when you trust your audience with some personal information about yourself and you show them that you trust them and you're giving them that, they're going to trust you in return. They're going to give that to you back subconsciously. They're not going to think, Leslie trusts me, so I must have to trust her. No, they just do it subconsciously, because that law of reciprocity is innate within us and they want to return the favor. And so as you share things with them, they'll share things back with you. And that's how the relationship is formed.
That's a beautiful concept. And it's so true. And as you were talking about the samples, I was thinking, man, our trips to Costco, that's why they get so much. Because I
Absolutely.
take the kids to Costco and they want to try everything. We're getting all kind of new things this month.
Dave Ramsey always says the person checking your receipt at Costco as you go out, all they're doing is checking to make sure you spend at least $100. And then they let you go out because you never get out of Costco without spending at least $100. Like, holy cow. You're like, oh, I need some of that. And I need, oh, samples. You bet I'll have some of that.
Exactly. That's awesome. And then you can really make your pancakes when you,
Yes. Yes.
after you leave that store.
Yes. Yeah. I love me some Costco. It's amazing what you can learn when you just observe life and observe people going through it. Like you were talking a little earlier about society. You know, I think technology has really sucked the relationships out of society today. Technology has made life, it's made it easy to go through life without ever having to talk to anybody. Like we text everybody like, hey, did you know there's an app on your phone where you can actually call people? What? There is? Yeah, it's right next to the text button. If you push it, you can talk to people. It's crazy. You know, it's like you can go to the gas station and pump your gas and pay at the pump and never see anybody. You can order your groceries, pull up to the grocery store, they load them in your car for you. You never even have to talk to anybody. You never have to get out of your car. You can order on Amazon, and the guy that drops it at your front door, he's gone before you can even go answer the door. Like he rings the doorbell and runs. It's like a challenge to see if he can drive off before you get to the door. It's crazy. You can go through life without talking to anybody. And I think if you take the time to build relationships in society through your content, through your show, wherever you're sharing yourself. If you can build more relationships, you're going to stand out amongst everybody else because everybody else is trying to use Chat GPT to create the best content. Stop chasing the content. Stop chasing it. You just need to be yourself.
Yes. And we just had a conversation yesterday in one of my business groups about 96% of the content that comes from the best copywriters is from having conversations with the people that want their product. It's not from reiterating and rewriting it and putting it through a system. It's taking the real life conversations and telling people, this is what you said you want. This is what I have that can have that solution for what you want. And they really do. We as a human race really need and thrive on that connection and that trust. It regulates our nervous system. That's why we're so stressed out in our society, I believe.
A real easy way to create content, whether you're writing emails to your email list or you're creating a podcast or you're doing a YouTube channel or looking for something on social media, there's a real easy 4-step process to creating content. First, tell a story about something that has happened to you or somebody that you know or a client. So you tell a story, you talk about what you've taken away from that story, kind of the moral of the story, like what's the big takeaway. Then you follow that with an offer that relates to that story and then a call to action. And that's it. Those are the 4 steps. Tell a story, your big takeaway of the story, your offer, and your call to action. And that way people feel like they're getting value from your email, though your email could be about the same thing every time. It's just different context.
Exactly. And telling stories is what really makes that connection for people to even listen. Do you know what you're talking about? It builds your credibility. It lets them know that you've been there too, that you're human too. And I would go so far to say the best storyteller that ever lived was Jesus. He created this whole movement. Yes, because he was the Son of God, but it was the way that he lived his life. And it was the way that he stopped for one person in front of them and listened and spoke in stories to make those connections.
Bible's a perfect example. The whole thing is story. Like
yes.
It's if he just got up there pounding his fist and, reading off the 10 commandments, everybody'd be like, yeah, okay, what else is on? Now they tell these great stories, and if like look at the movies that the Chosen or all of these amazing stories that have come about um, because it's amazing story. That's why it's lived for 2,000 years because it's everything we do. Whenever we learn through story because stories are easy to remember. They're relatable. We can see ourselves in them. It shows your flaws. It shows that you're human. It's the most powerful thing you can do when it comes to creating content and building your authority in your niche.
Yes, and stories, I it's really where it all began. That's how we even have a history. That's how we know history. It was
Yes,
the passing
exactly.
down of the stories that our ancestors told because the writing didn't even come into play until centuries later and they started writing down the stories that were passed down.
Yeah, absolutely. It's everything we do is through story. So when you can create more story and share yourself and people get to know you, the only thing that will separate you from the other guy or from AI teaching the same thing is your journey, your personal story, the story that the journey that you've taken to get where you are today. That's what changes. I have personally done about 36,000 hours of radio. I've been on the radio since 1989 and I've done about 36, a little over 36,000 hours of being on the air, talking to people on a microphone, learning how to command attention and move a room to action. And I tell stories all the time about how that's happened, things that have happened to me on the radio, the amazing people that I've met, both superstars and regular ordinary people, and the callers that I've had late at night, the people on the verge of suicide just needed somebody to talk to, and they would call me because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm on the radio, and they would call me and we'd have that conversation. Or bands that were trying to get on the come up and they would call because they want their music played. There's so many stories that I have, and there's a ton of people out there that can teach you how to podcast. Right. You can go on YouTube and watch videos and learn how to launch your podcast. It's really not that difficult. But once you get it launched and you go, okay, what do I do with it now? How do I become someone worth listening to? I'm the only one that can tell you I've done 36,000 hours of radio and I've been coaching on air radio talent since 1995. And I've been coaching talent, podcast hosts how to create better content for more than a decade now. And my story can't be told by anybody else because nobody else has walked that journey. Magnetic leaders don't just talk about what they do, they tell the story that makes others believe.
That's beautiful and it's so true. And if somebody wants to learn more from you, what do you have where they can get in touch with you or get on your email list or connect with
You bet.
you to learn from you?
I have a free video series. If you want to grab that, it's called How to Go from Being the Best Kept Secret to the Recognized Sought After Authority in Your Niche. It's a free little mini video series. Each video is like 4 minutes long. It's really quick. You can get that at podcasttalentcoach.com/authority. That's podcasttalentcoach.com/authority. And if you just want to connect with me, go to Podcast Talent Coach. All of my contact information's on there. You can shoot me an email or whatever you'd like to do. All of that is right at Podcast Talent Coach. But if you want that free authority course, go to podcasttalentcoach.com/authority and you'll find it all right there.
Awesome.
And I
Now,
always invite you to come listen to the podcast. It's called Influential Voices of Authority. I interview people that use their content, their platform, whether it's their podcast or their YouTube channel or wherever they're sharing themselves and their content and how they use that authority to build their business and grow their impact in the world. So that's Influential Voices of Authority. And you can find that link over at podcasttalentcoach.com as well.
awesome. And I'm going to have all those links in our community and in the show notes too. So
Super.
I would love, Erik, if you would be willing to share an entertaining story from somewhere in your radio or podcasting experience that will just make us laugh, something that's outrageous. Would you be willing to do that?
Oh, what can make you laugh? There's been so many things that have happened throughout my I'll give you two quick stories. One is just I was on the air kind of story. So I'm doing overnights, and our radio station's out in the country. So we're like 2 miles south of town. You drive 2 miles south of town, and then you take a right on this dirt road, and you go down about half a mile, and there we are out by the transmitter site. And so it's pitch black out there. We're in the middle of nowhere. I'm in this little hut by myself. So this building, it's a little office building, probably has, I don't know, 6 offices in it in the studios, 2 studios, 3 studios. And so it's like 2:30 at night, and there's no windows in my studio. You have to kind of go out in the front to do it. So I'm doing my show, and the request line rings, which not unusual. So I answer the request line, and I say, "Who's this?" And they're like, "This is Mike and Bill," or whatever their names were. And they're like, "What's going on, man?" And I said, "I'm just playing the tunes. What's going on with you?" And they're like, "We're just sitting out in your parking lot." I was like, "Oh, okay then. All right. What can I play for you?" And then I shut the door to the studio, and I stayed in there until 6 the next morning because that was just kind of creepy. Like, a couple of guys sitting out in front were just not what I needed. That was a little scary. The other one, I was at a show. Being a program director, I get to meet a lot of amazing artists. Taylor Swift, Usher, I've met all kinds. So I'm at this big country festival, and the record guy from the record label, he says, "Hey, I want to take you backstage to meet Blake Shelton." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. All right, great." And I'd met Blake before. And he's a great guy. I mean, everything you see on TV, that's exactly how Blake is. So we go back to his bus because there aren't any dressing rooms. We're at a festival. And so we go back to his bus, and he comes out. He's got like a little hibachi grill set up, and some, a cooler and some lawn chairs and whatever. So we're standing there talking, and, just talking about the show and the tour and the new record and how he's doing and this farm in Oklahoma, and, just shooting the gip for a while. And all of a sudden, his road manager starts to circle. And I kind of understand, like, that means we need to wrap this up because Blake has to get to his next thing. And so after he's done with me, he's got to go to his regular meet and greet with all the fans, take autographs and whatever. And then he's got to get on stage because he's closing the show. And so the manager's kind of circling around, and I'm like, "Okay, we're going to wrap this up." So I said, "Blake, it's been great. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang with me for a bit." And he's like, "What? You're leaving already?" And I was like, "Well, you kind of have something to do, and I don't want to stand in your way." And he's like, "All right, I guess." And so he shakes my hand. We get a quick picture, and away we go. But he was just super authentic and really down to earth, and just a great guy to hang out with. That was a lot of fun.
It's amazing. I think the more we get out in these circles of people, we realize how just normal people everybody is. I got to do a songwriting retreat in Nashville. My husband and I went and did a songwriting retreat, and one of the guest writers that were writing with us in the writing circles was Meredith Andrews. And so at first I was almost like, "Okay, don't be a fangirl. She puts her pants on one leg at a time too." And I was just really excited to get to meet her. But she was the most down to earth person I think I've met in a long time. And she played with my kids, and then the songs that came out of those sessions were just so raw, real, authentic, coming from real life stories and the vulnerability of sharing that part of your journey. And I love how you bring that together with that, because it's so important to bring people on our journey. It's all part of the hero's journey, right? You don't go out and go on this journey for yourself. You go and you get the elixir and you bring it home. And that's what we do as speakers, as podcasters. We went and got the elixir, and now we're bringing it to share.
Yeah. Songwriting is such a great way to share yourself, and really the best songs come out of stories, which is why I really love the show Storytellers, when artists will tell the story behind the song, because it gives the song so much more depth and so much more meaning, because now you understand the personal story behind the song and what makes it so special. And if you take that and you let infuse your content with that, that's when your content takes on a whole new meaning and starts to attract a whole new audience.
Yes, I love that. That's one of my favorite things to do is tell the story behind our songs
Yeah.
because the music is just so real and it's poetic. So it could be missed. And we all get to make our own interpretations of what we're hearing, which is also why it makes it so powerful, is because we can adapt it to our own situations. But then you can hear the story behind the song, and now you've got connection with the artist and with your own life. And it takes on a whole nother form. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. More story in your life and everything you do, add story to it. You will make so much more powerful connections with everybody.
That's awesome. So before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like to share while you're here?
I think we hit quite a bit of it. I'm always putting together workshops where I know people hate going to webinars because, webinars just a big 60-minute pitch fest. I hate them as much as you do. So my workshops, I actually help you get something done. And then I offer you to go a little deeper with me if you'd like. And so I might do a podcast profits workshop and teach you how to create a model to build profits around your podcast. Or I might do how to become a sought after authority in your niche. There are various, and you can always find those at podcasttalentcoach.com/workshop. And I love to be able to help you any way I can. Reach out, and it doesn't. I love podcasting, and I want you to understand that. And I always lead you to podcasting because it's a very intimate medium. People are listening usually with their earbuds, like we talked earlier. They're listening by themselves, and they're looking for companionship, which makes podcasting so powerful. YouTube, if you and I are watching a video, we see the exact same thing, but it's an amazing search engine. So wherever you're creating content, what I teach you helps you infuse your personality and helps you engineer your authority with wherever your content is. And I'd love to help you any way I can. Reach out, and I'll see how I can help you achieve your goals.
That's amazing, Erik. Thank you for such a generous offer.
You bet.
The workshops that's on point.
Workshops are always available. So podcasttalentcoach.com/workshop will always take you to my latest workshop.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I love how deep we went today. I love how we talked about authenticity. I loved how we talked about the depth of our story and our journey and all of the things that we walked through today. So thank you so much for your time and sharing this wealth of knowledge you have, but also sharing your time and yourself. And that's your most valuable resource that you're sharing with us tonight. And I really appreciate that.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Radiant Leader, to dive deeper into our resources and connect with a powerhouse circle of like-minded leaders, come join our free community right now over at authenticvoiceleadership.com. I will meet you right back here next Tuesday. Your voice matters. Lead wild, lead free. Stay radiant, my friend.